Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Yamaha came away from Misano with a clear, if early, verdict on its V4 prototype. Riders are reporting the same issues, and that clarity is precisely what the factory needed. Test boss Massimo Meregalli stressed the value of consistent impressions from Augusto Fernández's wildcard outing and the subsequent factory rider test with Fabio Quartararo, Rins and Jack Miller, even as Quartararo himself offered a sober early appraisal of the bike's shortcomings. Ducati general manager Gigi Dall'Igna struck a cautious note after Misano. While Monday's test gave useful information and Pecco Bagnaia felt positive, a single test day is not really enough to resolve the delicate confidence and feeling issues that have dogged the two-time champion. At the same time, Dall'Igna celebrated Marquez's Misano victory and the team's strong showing. Marquez heads to Motegi with a genuine match-point opportunity, a chance to seal a 9th Premier Class crown that would make him the 5th oldest rider to clinch the title, while reminding the paddock he is also the youngest ever to have first won it. After a dominant season, 512 points from 16 rounds, double wins, sprints and a string of victories, Motegi could be the place that cements his latest chapter in MotoGP history. Marco Bezzecchi leaves Misano encouraged but pragmatic. The Aprilia factory rider enjoyed his strongest weekend of the season, pole, a sprint win and a hard-fought second in the Grand Prix, yet he says the bike's real limiter remains tire life. To turn podiums into more wins, Bezzecchi argues Aprilia must solve end-of-race degradation rather than chase one-lap glory. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Yamaha treated Misano as a data-gathering exercise rather than a headline-chasing showcase. Meregalli noted the team prioritized running and information collection over outright speed, using the wildcard and the Monday test to amass high-quality, race-condition feedback. We didn't want to focus on the lap time because we were looking for information more than being quick on track. Early prototypes are diagnostic tools. The goal is to turn impressions into a development map, not immediate podiums. The most valuable outcome for Yamaha was consistency. All the riders felt the same feelings, Meregalli said. That agreement, echoed by test rider Fernández and factory names like Quartararo, Rins and Miller, gives engineers an objective starting point for fixes. One of the most important things is all the riders felt the same feelings, and this is very important for us because it's clear the direction we have to work. When multiple riders with different styles report similar issues, it simplifies prioritization and speeds iterative development. Despite the productive test plan, Quartararo's early verdict was cautious. Problems seen on the inline-4 machine largely remain. His measured assessment underlines that the V4's promise must still survive reliability, electronics, and usability checks before it becomes a competitive alternative. Factory riders' realism tempers excitement. Promising lap times mean little if the package is unstable or hard to exploit in race conditions. Yamaha also used the Misano work to troubleshoot specific incidents. Fernández's Sunday fuel saving was later traced to an electronics fault, a dashboard shortcut that left the display blank and produced spurious warnings, not an actual fuel issue. Meregalli emphasized the importance of finding and fixing those teething problems. The dashboard was totally black. He was fighting with information that he didn't know where it was coming from. Distinguishing hardware limitations from software glitches is crucial. The fixes, complexity, and timescales differ sharply. Yamaha isn't rushing a bold conclusion. The manufacturer plans further wildcards for the V4 at Sepang and Valencia and will continue controlled test programs. Meregalli acknowledged the project is young. We are just at the beginning, but underlined that reaching Misano with a working wildcard and follow-up test was already a notable achievement. For sure we collected a lot of information, good and bad. But we are just at the beginning and now for sure we will keep working. Expect incremental progress, data-driven fixes, more race-like exposure via wildcards, and measured factory tests before any wholesale decisions. Misano offered Yamaha both wake-ups and wins, teething issues under race pressure, but also the priceless benefit of unified rider feedback. That consensus gives engineers a focused to-do list, and while Quartararo's sober take tempers optimism, Yamaha now has the clarity it needed to drive targeted improvements. The V4's road to competitiveness will be iterative. Misano was an important first checkpoint rather than a final exam. Bagnaia reported constructive sensations after the Misano test, concentrating on riding what he had to learn about the bike and his problems. Dall'Igna welcomed that attitude but stressed the limits of one day's work. Monday's tests were important, but one day is not really enough to solve such a delicate situation. Short tests can point to directions, but deeper gains usually need repeated sessions and time to validate. Despite flashes of pace on Friday, Bagnaia's weekend unraveled. A P13 in the sprint and a crash from P7 in the Grand Prix left the rider pointless at his home round. Dall'Igna noted the mismatch between competitive lap times and the rider's lack of consistent feeling. He rode a good race by lap times but didn't have the feeling he gained earlier in the weekend. When a rider can't consistently reproduce practice feeling in race trim, the fix is as much psychological and procedural as it is technical. Dall'Igna framed Bagnaia's situation as complex: setup, confidence, and adaptation all interplay. That complexity explains why a single-day test won't deliver a magic solution, and why Ducati must balance persistence with prudence. The implication is clear: incremental validation across tracks and sessions will be needed rather than headline overnight changes. While cautious about Bagnaia, Dall'Igna was effusive about Marc Márquez's victory, calling him the undisputed 2025 king. After a thrilling Misano win and noting the strong showing of Ducatis in the top positions. A breathtaking victory. Marc is the undisputed 2025 king. Celebrating team success while addressing individual struggles is a delicate leadership task. Dall'Igna balanced both. The message was practical: keep wits about you, protect confidence, and continue methodical development. Ducati will keep testing and iterating, but expect solutions to emerge over time rather than from a single day's work. We have to keep our wits about us, as well as our confidence. Restoring a rider's peak form often requires steady progress, repeated validation, and psychological support alongside engineering fixes. Dall'Igna's verdict was steady-minded. Misano's test offered encouraging signals but not cures. Ducati celebrated team glory at a packed Misano while privately acknowledging that bringing Pecco Bagnaia back to his best will be a careful, multi-step process. Technical iterations, rider confidence rebuilding, and time will be the deciding factors. Marquez arrives at Motegi carrying a 182-point lead over Alex Marquez with only 259 points still up for grabs. Leaving Japan with a 3-point advantage would hand him the championship. After a season of remarkable consistency and 11 Grand Prix victories so far, the statistical chance is real and immediate. Motegi is more than another round. It could be the coronation of a historic campaign. The Cervera Riders 2025 ledger is extraordinary. Double wins in 10 rounds, 11 GP victories and 14 sprint successes already. That accumulation of top results has produced a points buffer that turns the title chase into a question of control rather than desperation. When dominance is sustained across races and sprints, the title fight often becomes an exercise in risk management, exactly the situation Marquez now enjoys. If he succeeds at Motegi, Marquez will lift the crown at 32 years and 223 days, knocking Jeff Duke, 32Y137D, down the list and becoming the 5th oldest Premier Class champion. Yet the paradox remains: Marquez is also the youngest rider ever to win a Premier Class title. He first did it in 2013 at just 20 years and 266 days. The two records together underline a rare career arc: precocious success followed by longevity and renewed peak performance. Ahead of Marquez on the oldest champion list sit Giacomo Agostini, 33Y69D, Michael Doohan, 33Y122D, Phil Reed, 35Y208D, and Leslie Graham, the oldest at 37Y340D in 1949. Marquez's prospective placement is notable in a sport where careers are often short and records constantly rewritten. Joining that shortlist is a marker of sustained excellence across eras and machine generations. Marquez's trajectory is familiar yet remarkable. He had to wait until Valencia to clinch his first Premier Class title back in 2013, but that early breakthrough only prefaced repeated returns to the top. A potential Motegi coronation would round out a season defined by relentless pace, intelligent race management, and the ability to convert opportunities into points. Titles are both math and narrative. Motegi could complete this season's dominant storyline while adding another durable chapter to Marquez's legacy. Motegi offers a simple ask and a complex reward. Do what's necessary this weekend and Marc Márquez secures a 9th crown, joins the list of older champions, and yet keeps intact the unique fact that he was the youngest to ever first reach that peak. Whether the moment arrives in Japan or later, the season has already rewritten parts of the record books, and Motegi may simply be where the punctuation is added. Bezzecchi produced a near-perfect home weekend, pole, a sprint victory, courtesy of Marc Márquez crashing after a late overtake, and a race in which he led the first 11 laps before a late mistake cost him the win. The result underlined both his speed and the RSGP 25's growing competitiveness. Misano was really tight towards the end. We improved a lot, and the weekend showed we can fight up front. Home form delivered confidence. The package has pace. Now Aprilia must translate that into longer-term race resilience. Bezzecchi singled out tire longevity as the decisive shortfall. While the Aprilia can match rivals in the early and middle stints, the Italian says the bike drops off when the race counts most, and that's where rivals are gaining an edge. We should be fresher on tires at the end of the race. That's where the others make the difference. In modern MotoGP, tire management over 24 laps often outweighs outright speed, and improving degradation is the clearest path to more victories. Bezzecchi admitted a late error at turn 8 cost him the lead, a reminder that when tire life is marginal, small mistakes become race deciding. He believes sharpening race management under pressure will reduce those slips. Reducing end-of-race mistakes requires both hardware, tire-friendly setup, and software, race strategy and rider pacing. Misano's haul puts Bezzecchi back in the hunt for a high championship finish. He's now 8 points behind Pecco Bagnaia in the battle for third. The result shows Aprilia can contest top positions, if it can steady tire performance across different tracks. Closing on third would be a milestone for Aprilia and an indicator the package is maturing beyond single-venue flashes. Bezzecchi wants the team to prioritize race distance durability in upcoming tests and track days, tire mapping, setup tweaks, and strategic race simulations. He framed the Misano weekend as a clear guide for where development time should be spent. Now we need to work hard to be ready for a difficult and important part of the season. We're improved, but we're still missing something. Targeted development on tire preservation, not cosmetic upgrades, should be Aprilia's short-term blueprint. Misano reinforced what Bezzecchi already suspected. The Aprilia has the speed to win, but tire life determines how often it converts that speed into triumph. The challenge is practical and solvable. If the factory can extract a few tenths of durability per race, podiums will become wins. For now, Misano was proof of potential and a clear to-do list for the weeks ahead.